everybody, so today we're doing the February wrap-up. Hey everybody, my name is Sophie, the Bookish Floor. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to talk to you guys all about the books I read in February. So in February, I decided to read only books written by Black authors, and these are the list of books that I was able to read. And as you guys know, I've been trying to tackle my physical TBR, which is here for now. I'm actually planning on rearranging my bookshelf, so that's gonna be on another video. But this time I was able to read 2 of the books that I have on my physical TBR. The first one that I'm gonna talk to you guys about is gonna be The Year of Yes by Shonda Rhimes. Actually, I found this book at a Goodwill. It was, I think, $1 or $1.99. And honestly, I saw it and I just grabbed it. I've heard about it since it came out like quite a long time ago, but the 10-year anniversary edition already came out, and that's the one that I actually ended up listening to. So I actually have extra chapters with the one that I listened to, and it's updated, and I'm glad that I listened to that one because it has a lot more information. And if you guys don't know, this is a challenge that Shonda Rhimes did, and if you guys don't know who she is the creator of Grey's Anatomy, Scandal, How to Get Away with Murder, and the executive producer of Bridgerton. She is one of the top producers in Hollywood. She has her production company, Shondaland, and she is a writer and she creates great drama shows. But she tells the story of how she got there, how she has worked in the industry, and how she got there by working really hard, but actually saying no to a lot of things and being a big introvert. And how she, one day, a family member pointed out that what was the point of her working so hard if she said no to everything. So she decided to start the Year of Yes. And as someone who is a big introvert, and as most people who create videos would tell you, we are a bunch of introverts. It's really easy to create videos because you're actually not talking to anyone. You're talking to yourself, to your phone, or to your camera, and then you put it online and you actually don't get to see anybody watching you until you decide to read the comments, and if you do or if you don't. But it's really sending things to the ether, and some people are not introverts and crave that and do a lot of live events and all that, and some other people just create videos and are still like in their home. So yeah, I relate to that second second part of creators, and I related to this a lot. Also, I don't know if you guys have seen that Jim Carrey movie where they call him No Man because he says no to everything. Like, that is me. That is my personality. I'm an introvert. I don't say yes to a lot of things. So this book definitely was calling for me to read it for a while. And when I saw it, I said, why not? And yeah, it's very interesting. And once she gets to the whole story, how she ends up saying yes to everything, and also the balance of how saying yes to everything goes to the other extreme, and how she has to learn to also say no to some things now that she goes into that extreme. Like I said, this is sort of like half memoir, half self-help book, I guess. It is very interesting to see someone with such success as someone that you would think that would be incredibly outgoing, again, see that she's not, and then that she goes to the other side, and then how she finds balance. I like the audiobook because it is narrated by her, and she has this quirk of telling stories. Some things you might find like maybe, now I'm not gonna say cringy, but because I didn't find them cringy, definitely things that you would think like girl, should you be saying that out loud? But she even says that, like, I probably shouldn't be saying this out loud, but so it is funny. If you like those shows, if you are a little bit of an introvert, I think this might be the book for you. If you like a little bit of self-help but don't really like those books and would like to maybe hear from someone's experience, about how you can maybe get out of your shell a little bit more, maybe this is the book for you. I found it incredibly interesting, and just someone who is building a career. It doesn't have to be in entertainment. It doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be in a creative field. Just someone who is working hard towards something, how to maybe create balance. So yeah, I found it really interesting. I really liked it. I would definitely recommend it. And yeah, this was The Year of Yes by Shonda Rhimes, and definitely I would suggest the audiobook and the 10th anniversary edition, because like I said, there's more information 10 years later, with a 2020 point of view, and with the updates of how life is actually going after 10 years after changing the way she sees things, and how she takes this new life philosophy, I guess, or life approach. So yeah, this is very interesting. So that was my first read of February. My next book is a book that I've been wanting to read since last year, and that's James by Percival Everett. And if you guys don't know, this is a retelling of Huckleberry Finn. This is from the point of view of James in this case, who is the slave that travels with Huckleberry Finn in the story of Huckleberry Finn. And this is his perspective, how he views the world in which the story is taking place. And the interesting part of this story is how we see him, how we see James, how it is really important for us to see him as a full dimensional person, because obviously when we are talking about Huckleberry Finn, we are seeing Jim. And I think even the name is very important, because we see Jim as the name that he is given by his owners. We see Jim, how how he is viewed from Huckleberry's perspective, or how he is viewed from the slave owner's perspective, or how he is viewed from the white lens perspective, or the reader's perspective of that time in history. But we are not really seeing James as a fully dimensional human being, and their whole life experience being told by them, by James and by his family, and by his community and his people. And in this case, we get to see that whole experience, how he sees life, how he speaks, because he speaks differently. We have this history of how their stories have been told, and how slaves' stories have been told from the perspective of white people, who are the ones who are telling their stories, right? And if you only read those books, but now that we are seeing this other side, from James' perspective, we see that James can read, we see that James can write, we see that James can speak a certain way that reflects that he can read, that he can write. However, he does have to present a different way to the slave owners, to the white people in his community, because if he doesn't, he is gonna be perceived as a threat. So he does change the way he speaks. So you see James, and you see how he has to escape the home and where he's in, and he has to leave his family in order to survive, in order to not be sold again and be separated by his family. At the end of the day, he is gonna be separated, but on his own terms, and in a way that he could possibly come back and get them back, and not maybe suffer a different fate. And yeah, it is the interesting part of this book is being able to see his own experiences from his own point of view, and seeing again his community, and seeing everything that they do for each other from again their own point of view, and not having someone else tell their story. I think that is the important part about this book. So yeah, I think it was very interesting, and a very important read. So that was James by Percival Everett. Okay, and my next book was Heart on the Fly by Tony Shiloh. I got this arc on NetGalley, and this was a bit of a weird book. This is a hockey romance, and this was, I don't know if it was my mistake or it was just a mistake, honestly. This was a Christian hockey romance. However, honestly, I feel like when I requested the arc, there wasn't a specification that it was a Christian hockey romance. It just said hockey romance. However, it could have been. I'm not, because I have read Christian books before. As you guys know, I think I've stated this before. I'm not a religious person, so I can go either way. Like, I don't care. I don't mind it. I just don't want to like super in my face. But I don't either mind it either. So it really does depend on the tone of the book, depending on what they're trying to do. So if it's like regular part of their being, and their, yeah, like any other religion or any other spiritual being, it's fine, because we all have different ways of living our lives, and that's completely fine and important for each group, and yeah, completely okay with that. What I don't like it is when they try to tell you that that's the only way, whatever it is, whatever religion or spiritual way or political or whatever it is. When they try to tell you that's the only way, that's when I have issues with it, right? So when I requested the arc, I don't believe, or I don't remember reading that part, because I was getting into the story and it actually seemed like a pretty messy story that didn't indicate that it was going to be anything like that. The story starts with a girl who works as like a marketing something for like a sports company that has like sports agents and stuff like that. I think it's a sports agents company, and she works like in marketing or something like that, or in like handling all the clients, something like that, right? But she's not an agent or anything like that, and it's like a family business. Like the dad is the owner, one of her sisters is an agent, and she is like, I don't know, she works with handling like everyone. um so yeah, she is one of the sisters. There's three sisters and the dad, and one of the sisters is the agent, and the other one, I don't remember what she does. But she is single, and they try, and they're always wanting to set her up, so she goes on a series of blind dates. She goes on a blind date, and turns out that the guy that she goes on a blind date with is her sister, who is already married with a kid, ex-boyfriend. And according to the sister, he cheated on her and he was a bad guy and all that. So she immediately wants out of this date. But they start talking, and they start getting along. And this guy is a hockey player, and before that we meet this guy. Is a dual POV. We meet this guy, and turns out that he was in a very violent like hockey accident, and he had like a concussion or something, and he's losing his eyesight because of it. So they sort of become friends. Obviously they don't continue to date or anything, because she still doesn't like what he did to his sister. um he says that it's not necessarily true, but he doesn't go like into details. um but they become friends because what he's going through, and it's because it's been like 10 years. It's been a long time. So they start developing this friendship. However, it immediately is an ick factor because you are talking to your sister's ex, and as a romance, we already know that this is gonna be an enemies to lovers, and that's just gross. This guy dated your sister, and it's just gross, right? So for me, that's icky and that's messy, and there's nothing necessarily that says to me that this is a Christian romance when all of this messiness is going on. Also, the sister is the way she talks to her, the way she talks about the boyfriend, the way she acts towards her husband. Again, none of this feels very Christian. She doesn't act like a good person. That's what I'm trying to say. She isn't good to the other sister either. So yeah, it is a very weird vibe. And then the mom is like MIA. And it seems like the mom and the dad don't have a good relationship. So again, none of this seems squeaky clean Christian book to me. So it is very messy. So again, because I didn't read on the description, or at least I didn't think that I read on the description that this was a Christian book, I was just thinking that it was a messy hockey romance. And I was thinking that maybe it was gonna get really spicy. And because of the messiness, because of the hockey romance, I was thinking that it was just gonna be like a messy romance. We hit about a 30% mark, which is pretty far along, right? It's like a third of the book. And then all of a sudden, there's an introduction to, oh, you wanna go to church? And that jumped at me like Jack in the Box, like jump scared. And I'm again totally fine because whatever. They're gonna go to church. It might be like a place where she encounters like the family and all that. And yeah, they go ahead and they go there. It's a bit messy. They now know that they have a friendship going on. And from that moment on, so much was about church and God, but you're already 30% into the book. You're already hooked. Nothing in that first 30% said anything about being a Christian romance. Like nothing. Like you could have started reading the book and thinking it was gonna be a super messy, steamy romance. Like it was going that direction, and then all of a sudden, like you hit the brakes, you go to church, and it was a totally different book. So the mood and the tone totally changes. So that really bothered me. It wasn't that it was spicy, it wasn't that it was Christian, it was that the total mood tone of the book completely changed. The main male character doesn't go to church, so it feels like he's being converted. It feels like he's being pushed towards that. By the end of the book, and that's fine, like he's also grappling with a lot of things, health wise, and being spiritual, and being maybe um holding on to something, to his faith, or rediscovering his faith might help him. That's fine. Again, everybody goes through a process, and that could be good. But the way that it's presented, it felt a little icky and predatory. And then also by the end, I'm telling you that literally they prayed the illness away. Like they literally prayed the illness away. I'm sorry that I'm giving you spoilers. Maybe this is something that you like in your books, and if you have a like big faith and you're a big Christian person, and this is what you like, then this is a great book for you. In my review, I said this is a book for a particular group of people. I'm not in that particular group, and that's completely fine. Um, and yeah, that's fine. I gave it 3 stars because I kind of like the story, but that really bothered me. So, but I'm not sure if that bothered me because again, I'm not part of that group, and the people who are part of that group would like love this, and I'm just maybe not that demographic. I'm not the target demographic, and that's fine. um but yeah, the fact that literally, like, I would have liked it if he would have gone completely blind, because the disability representation was really good. I also like that part. The disability representation, the fact that she didn't care, the fact that they developed this friendship that turned into more, that they were he was getting, he thought that he was gonna get fired. They find a way to work with him within the hockey team, even though he wasn't able to play anymore. Like, there were a lot of things that were inclusive with disability that they did really well in this book. um the messiness with the family, how they helped, how she stood up to her family, uh all that was so good. The whole church thing, the whole trying, asking him to go to church all the time, being like, pray, 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 pray. And then at the end, like, I prayed, and then I woke up, and all of a sudden I could see, like, when I tell you he literally prayed the illness away, that literally happened. He prayed, and then all of a sudden he could see. He woke up and he could see. That was like, come on. Like, that, I feel like that is so irresponsible, and also negates the whole disability argument, and everything that you just did. Like, everything that you just did, like, it totally erases that whole part of the book, and that made me really sad. um so yeah, that part I didn't like. Honestly, I was thinking about giving it a 2. I gave it a 3 because I don't know if it was a me problem, because a it was for maybe a specific audience, and I just grabbed it. When I went back to check if it was part of the description, when I went back to check, it was no longer available as an arc. Turns out it was only available as an arc for like 7 days, and that's when I was able to grab it. Once I was able to grab it, it was no longer available. The description now said that it was a Christian romance, and then when you look for it on, like, anywhere, the description now says that it's a Christian romance. So I don't know if they quickly got feedback, and then a lot of the reviews say exactly what I'm telling you. I got it, and then I didn't read it right away. I waited like a week. So by the time I read it, it, like, NetGalley already had taken, like, the request away, and the reviews were already up. So I don't know if a lot of people had the same argument and the same uh yeah, the same complaint, I guess, that they didn't expect it for it to be so religious heavy. A lot of people were complaining about the fact that he just prayed the illness away, and that they didn't like that. So yeah, I don't know if they immediately changed the description of the book to reflect what you're supposed to be reading, because maybe people feel like they got something different than what the blurb said. And now when you go and see the blurb, oh, okay, now you know what you're getting into. But yeah, for me, it was like a surprise, and it wasn't like a great one, simply because I wasn't expecting that. The mood, the tone of the book changed really quickly, and then yeah, that wasn't realistic. And I also didn't like the way they were treating one of the sisters who, um I don't want to spoil it. If you do want to go read it, already spoiled a lot of it. But one of the sisters ends up in a situation that is not necessarily ideal for them as a religious group, and I didn't necessarily like the way that it was handled. So yeah, yeah, I didn't particularly love that book. I think, again, if you love Christian romances, this might hit for you. It didn't hit for me, simply because I feel like they really drill that into you, and it could have been a little bit softer. The disability representation was very good until the very end when they sort of dismissed everything with the religious point. So that was, oh man, that was a really missed opportunity that they had right there, and they just kind of dismissed it. So I really feel sad for that part, and that really, I think, yeah, that, yeah, I think that's all I have to say about that book. And then I also got another book by Ned Galley that was not on the menu, by Eddie Twice. And this book is another romance. This is a book about friends to lovers. This is the story about two friends who were actually, these are two girls who are best friends, and there's a little brother. One of the girls passes away, and it turns out that the little brother always had a crush on one of the girl's best friend, and they sort of develop a romance, a relationship after they're all grown up, and her best friend and his sister has passed away. He works at a restaurant, and she is helping him with this. And there's a little bit of family conflict where they don't necessarily approve of the relationship. I think they sort of hope for her to do better than a guy who is a chef at a small restaurant in town. But the whole story is about them trying to figure out how to go from friends to lovers, maintain this relationship, if it's gonna ruin the friendship, if it's worth it, all that. I thought it was a cute story, very simple, very cute romance. They do a lot of like they have a lot of references to the restaurant. They work a lot within the restaurant. So if you like food and all that, I like cute stuff. It seems very much like a rom-com. It feels like a rom-com from the 90s. So if you like that, this might be the book for you. And also, I really like, I know this is not necessarily part of the story, but at the end, they have like a whole bunch. If you listen to the audiobook, I'm not sure if that's also the case for the book, but if you listen to the audiobook, at the end of the audiobook, they give you like a whole bunch of Nigerian recipes that you can do. So I really like it when books do that. Like if there is a book about a bakery, when they give you recipes, or about a restaurant when they give you like recipes, or if it's something about crafts and they give you like a craft to do at the end. I love like interactive books like that. I think it's so much fun. So yeah, that was not on the menu. Cute rom-com like type story to pass the time, like super fun. I also gave this one, I think I gave this one 3 stars because it was like simple, not complicated, not problematic story. I think I'm actually gonna bump down Hearts on the Fly to like 2 stars because there's no comparison. This was a simple, cute, fun time. Nothing extraordinary, but just simple and fun. And the other one, I had like a lot of complicated feelings, as you can tell. So I don't know why I gave it 3 stars. I think I was feeling bad because for some parts it was really good, and I try a lot to think, well, maybe it's me, maybe it's because I'm not part of again that I'm not Christian, so maybe that's why I don't get it. But I'm not also a lot of other religious groups. I don't belong to a lot of other religious groups, and I like the books that I'm reading. So yeah, I think it was just the book. So I think I'm gonna bump down Hearts on the Fly to 2 stars, and definitely not on the menu. Keep it at 3 stars. Okay, and then the last book that I read for February is also part of my physical TBR, and this is The Vanishing Half. And I've had this book for such a long time, and I've been trying to read it for such a long time. And let me tell you that I don't know why, but until this week, I realized that this is not just a bunch of colors together, but these are actually 2 faces. Can you see it? This is like a blue face, and this is like a yellow face, and this is like the hair. Can you see it? I don't know why I didn't see it before. Literally, I just thought it was like splotches of like color. Anyways, so this is the story of two twins who can pass from the 1960s. Yeah. And these are two twins who are black in the 1960s in America, but they have a lighter skin and they can pass as white. And they live with their mother, and their mother, when they're in high school, decides that it is time for them to stop going to school and for them to start working as maids to help out. And they really want to go to school. One of them wants to even be an actress. They have dreams of bigger life. One of them is a little bit more shy. The other one is a bit more outgoing. And one of them, the one that is a bit more outgoing, that wants to be an actress, convinces her sister to go ahead and run away and try to have a better life. And they do that. They do run away, and at some point they do split up, and they live very different lives. And one of them ends up getting married to a man and ends up having a child who is darker skinned, and she comes back home to see her mother after she left her husband, and what it entails for her to come back home, to not live the life that maybe she wanted, that she dreamed to create for herself. And then the other girl has disappeared, and apparently she is living a life, and she is passing. So yeah, this was a very interesting book. So much of history and so much of those times, from the time when Huckleberry Finn or James is taking place, from uh slavery times to even the 1960s and the civil rights movement. So much of history is written from news outlets that we know, but that is so much of the white perspective, that it is so important for us to read books written and told by and with African American black characters, black authors, black writers. So I think it's very important for us to read those books. So yeah, this was a very interesting, very good book. I would recommend it to everybody to just go ahead and take a look at The Vanishing Half. And yes, those are all the books that I read in February. Some of them amazing, some of them not so amazing, but I'm so glad that I was able to read all of them. All of them very different, from very different perspective, very different points of view. All of them have great value, even when you don't like a book necessarily. Being able to read different authors from different genres who have different points of view, even within the same cultural group, we think that we're gonna read the same, and obviously it's not. It is so important for us to diversify our reading by picking different genres. When we're diversifying our reading, we can see different points of view. We can see that we are all, even within the same cultural group, we are all very different. I think that that is something that when you are BIPOC, it's something that I sometimes is a bit frustrating, especially, for example, for me, like I am Mexican, and when they say Mexicans or Latinos, they love to put us all in one little box, and think that we all are exactly the same, living the exact same life, and we're all very different. And same thing with these authors. Whenever I've been doing this every since I started YouTube. I do this monthly heritage celebrations, and I pick authors going by that, but I pick different genres, and I pick the authors from different countries, and they always are so diverse in the stories that they're telling. And it's so important for us to do that, to read and know how different they all are, and how many points of view they have, and uh how we can give different perspectives from every single one of them. So I think it is important for us to continue to read and diversify our reading, because it's only gonna make us better. So yeah, I would invite you to do that. So yeah, I think this was a successful month, whether I would get all 5 stars or not. So anyways, that's it for today. If you made it up to the end, remember to, why don't you go ahead and put a little, the weather is turning, is getting a little sunnier, so why don't you go ahead and put a little flower or a sun in the comments, or let me know which one of these books is one of your favorites, or which one would you read. And if you have any recommendations of any books by Black authors, please let me know. I'm always looking for books to add to my TBR. I really do appreciate that. Remember, if you like this video, like, comment, subscribe, do that bell thing, share, hype it up, if you would. And most of you who are watching are not subscribed, so go ahead and subscribe so you can see the next video, so they can let you know when I'm uploading. I upload every Friday. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Remember to keep reading and keep blooming, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.